Hi guys, Andy N, Spoken Label. I'm not even going to say the brilliant, because he is brilliant, the wonderful Eric Loveland Heath. Now, Eric's going to do first, as we hinted before, I don't know if he's going to do the full story or an extract from it, so he's over to you, mate, anyway. Surprise me.
Okay, I'm going to read a part of the Face, which is a short story I've written that Andy has mentioned earlier. Well, we've talked about earlier. So just a little mention that I'm not a performer. I've not read out things particularly live, so I'll give this my best shot. Little can match the sense of desolation felt when faced with a barren hillside or when stood in a vast clearing, the goodness being washed out of the soil beneath your feet, trunks shattered, branches left to rot. It had been customary to wander this forest, elevated as it was, views stolen only through gaps between trees, as long as paths had formed. These days it was a haven for loggers, or at least it was ever since they cut their track through the woodlands, and it was on this particular trail that I saw what I cannot explain. It was not the first time I'd chosen this sweeping route through the trees over the competing charms of spidery paths which lay this way and that. They chose to burrow through dense plantations, and anyhow I preferred to feel the sun on my back. It was a pleasant late afternoon, one of those which seeg into evening at this time of year without so much of a sign. I'd observed the change in the seasons, how different species had come first to bud, then leaf, then bloom. Now elder bore heavy fruit, honeysuckle climbed a neighbour, while an unfortunate other was marked grimly for felling. A garish orange X adorned its trunk, a mark born of man, and none the better for it. I'd reached a section where the mantle of the forest met briar and bramble, the domain of a forest king, branches crowned with a wide and solemn grandeur, a place where only one confused could stumble and never once be welcome. To my right stood an ancient ash, not of royal standing, but a worthy consort. The track lay ahead, lined to the left by tall pine trees whose branches reached only to the north, as if holding a waving shield of green. I felt a lap of breeze through the pine needles, noticing the way they deflected and reshaped other sounds, the call of a red kite on one breath, the crash of a working quarry on another. Then, making my way along the hard yellow mud and pressed stone, a verge began to climb, dry scrub and root, last year's leavings. Here was the realm of foxglove, malseer and dead nettle, of wood sage, bramble and gorse, pocket of fern, the trembling green fingers of silver fir. My gaze flitted from this to the sunken grass and tangle of its neighbour on the other side, as the route swept this way and that in slow, broad corners. One verge tall and acrid, the other damp and lush, attracting disparate fauna, either side of the divide on which I stood, and I continued to muse on what had lain here before the way was claimed. With a sudden clatter of wings, a cold terror reached into my thoughts and returned me to the present. A startled songbird was thrashing in last year's detritus, desperate to be free. As it pushed gamely against the woven net of briar and crumpled fern, I was able to make out the yellow flash and dull brown of blackbird before it tore itself away, chattering loudly. This rather knocked me off my stride, and I became aware of the bleakness of the area I found myself, the ruthless efficiency of the logging road, the shattered stumps of unfortunate trees, the general industry, waste and lack of care for the surroundings. And there, on that dreary verge, I was sure I could make out a set of eyes.
It's incredible, really.
Thank you.
That has got so much power in it, Eric. That, and what I love about you, mate, like, is you're like our mutual friend, Mr. Anthony Hardigan, Ben Holter, and Rob Glover as well. Is that is such a serious piece, but I know what you're like. He's such an unserious guy in some ways, and it's like it absolutely just shit. There's a paranoia behind that piece as well when you're reading it. Then, good God,
there's yeah, but I consider that, I don't know whether others would, but I consider it to be quite a funny one as well, because there's a little bit where they just to mention that so there's the ash, not of royal standing but a worthy consort, and then a little bit later there's a little joke that links into that, where I quite like the idea that you judge because it's, you know, the forest king and things like that, that you judge trees on their standing.
Oh yeah, yeah, you do. I'm always believing, like I said, I think music's the same really. You can't put everything just constantly bleak on it. You've got to do little side jokes and stuff like that, or little things, and make your reader investigate it. One, it's absolutely
Here it
incredible.
is. It's not to sort of give the game away, but then there's that obviously leaves the place. For some reason, I found the need to apologise, despite its minor reputation, and wandered off muttering agitatedly under my breath. It's minor reputation.
Brilliant. Listen, mate, we'll wrap up the podcast here because if people are wondering, I've not spoken to you for ages, we're going to carry on chatting for a bit more anyway. So
I've just I want to mention one thing before we go. Ben Holton has been doing an absolutely wonderful series of podcasts with short stories as well.
I
appear in one in a very odd way. You probably won't work out which one it is. I'll tell you.
I know which one it is because I've subscribed to it on Patreon.
But do you know what I was doing?
No, I couldn't work that one out. You have to give that exclusive away next time.
And it's called From Quiet Houses, and it's on Spotify, if I remember correctly. It's available as a podcast now, and then he's got his Patreon as well. And that's brilliant. There's lots of little weird glimpses into folklore and strange stories. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, good. I noticed you mentioned you were on the second one, and I've listened to it about 3 times. And I thought, where the fuck is he? I can't work out where you were at that.
Yeah, there's a method behind the madness. Yeah, and also one last thing is to mention Rob Glover's Hidden Britain Sign Company as well, which is superb.
Yeah,
and I did help do an advert once as well for that, so it's lovely.
Brilliant. No, you did right. Everybody, check out Ben Thomas Holton.
Benjamin Thomas Holton.
That was it on Patreon. I'm subscribed to it. It's tremendous stuff. His podcast is brilliant. And I love his exclusive music. And also like to check out Rob's thing as well. So thank you again, Eric, today. It's been a pleasure, mate. Absolutely. Been looking forward to this one for ages. So it's Andy N signing out. We will see you all soon. Take care.